Sahajatma Swarup Param Guru, 5 vows of Jainism in daily practice. Anuvrat for Sravaka, Mahavrat for monks. Jainism prescribes rules of conduct for the householders who want to start and practice spiritualism and wants to become mumukshu or sadhak or sravak. For this, 5 fundamental vows are prescribed. These vows are observed by all the spiritual aspirants and are termed as anuvrat, that is small vows. Those who accept monkhood, they observe these 5 vows more strictly and complete abstinence from all these prohibited deeds. These 5 vows are ahimsa, that is non-violence, satya, that is truth, asteya, that is non-stealing, brahmacharya, that is chastity, and aparigraha, non-possession. If one is careless, will indulge into this all during day-to-day life, and the soul will remain trapped in cycle of birth and death forever. Sadhak mumukshu or sravak is ever watchful to abstain from the commitment of 5 kinds of these sins, that is injury, falsehood, stealing, unchastity and attachment, by way of krut, karit and anumodan, that is doing this all by oneself, causing this to be done by others, and also merely approve when somebody is doing it. Again, this should be avoided by body, speech and merely thought process. These vows apply to all 3, that is action, speech and thought. Ahimsa, not to harm any living creatures in any way and lead careful life till very last breath of life. Satya is to speak truth. The vow is not to lie, even if one feels he will get materially benefited a lot. Sravak must not speak lie and either be silent or speak the truth. Sadhak with the vow discourages and disapproves others who perpetuate falsehood. Asteya means not to take anything which doesn't belong to oneself. Otherwise, it should be strictly with permission of the owner, how small or worthless item may be. Here, unattended or unclaimed items are also prohibited for this sadhak. Whether it is worth or worthless thing, taking anything that has not been given is termed as theft. Brahmacharya, as a great vow of Jain sadhak, means celibacy and avoiding any form of sexual indulgence with body, words or mind. One should not indulge in sensual pleasures, which include all the 5 senses. Aparigraha, here attachment to internal possession, that is abhyantar parigraha, and attachment to external possession, that is bahya parigraha, both to be avoided. The 14 internal possessions are wrong belief, that is mithyatva, the greatest sin. 4 passion, anger, pride, deceitfulness and greed. And 3 sex passions, male sex passion, female sex passion and neutral sex passion. And other defects, laughter, liking and disliking, and sorrow, fear and disgust. External possessions are discussed under 2 heads, non-living and the living. Living means servants, pet animals, etc. And non-living means gold, silver, land property, ornaments, vehicles, grains, clothes, etc. If followed all this as per the guidelines given by Atmagnani Guru, then the sadhak will realize soul, will attain eternal peace and everlasting happiness of type which is not dependent on anything and everything except self. He himself now will be the Lord. Meditation and fasting in Jainism. Meditation, concentrating on what Tirthankar has directed to do, is meditation or dharma dhyan. Agnya vichay, what has been told to him. Apai vichay, why one suffers. Vipak vichay, why pleasant and unpleasant events, sorrows and happiness one faces. And 4th is sansthan vichay, that is the detail of this universe, Brahmand, where one has taken birth and then after a while died innumerous times since eternity. So how to get out of this cycle and get liberated forever and get out of this trap of birth and death, that is how to attain moksha. This dhyan is prerequisite for all the householder in early stages of spiritual training. Later on, only enlightened soul blesses Under his guidance, one can meditate about Rupati's soul that is shapeless, orderless, weightless, and cannot be seen with eyes but can only be experienced. Fasting. Fasting in Jainism is not to starve but to avoid enjoying taste of food items, to control psyche and win over endless materialistic desires. Once mind is under control, thought process will be in right direction. In this way, one can avoid eating things which are prohibited in Jainism. Be happy and let all others be happy. For this concept to materialize, one should eat only to sustain this body and during life get to know the soul. The soul is not dependent on a single drop of water. Neither it requires any kind of food or drugs to survive. And fasting is the rehearsal to attain this stage of eternal non-dependence. What are the 6 visions and what are the beliefs of those visions about the 6 positions of the soul? Which is the right way? How it can be determined by ordinary person? The soul does not have caste. If the karmas are over, then the life is liberated. Darshan is a certain religion or visions or fact or system of philosophy. Thus the word darshan refers to 6 main visions about soul. Sankhya darshan, Yoga darshan, Buddhism, Mimamsa, Charvak and Jainism. These are the main 6 philosophies considered in Arya culture. The worshipper of true Jainism worships all 6 darshan or visions in that way. A true worshipper of Jainism worships all the 6 pad or main points of soul. The first pada or point is the soul is there. The Charvak view rejects the soul. Sankhya, Yoga, Buddhism, Purva and Uttar Mimamsa and Jain philosophy believe in the existence of soul. Sankhya darshan is of Kapil Muni and Yoga darshan of Patanjali. Buddhist philosophy is inspired by Gautam Buddha. Jainism and Buddhism are the original philosophies. All the rest are dependent on Vedas. However, the existence of the soul is recognized somehow by all these visions. Second, the soul is eternal. Charvakists do not believe the soul. So, where is the question of being eternal? Buddhism believes in ephemerality, that is, soul lasts for a short while and dissipates. Considering the changing state of the life from moment to moment, it is believed that every moment another soul is generated. The old form of the life dissolves and the new one is born. But the omniscient Vitraga clearly knew and taught all that the original matter is neither produced nor destroyed, but at one time it always sees the state of difference. So, ephemerality is quite true if considered by this analogy, but the original matter is permanent. The new is never created, nor the existence can be destroyed ever. Soul or Atman, if considered as matter, is eternal. Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sat. Gita, 2nd chapter, 16th verse. Param Gopal explained this easily that what is there is never destroyed. It will not be destroyed if it is there. It will not be produced if it was not there. But one will always see the state of difference only. The third pada, soul is the doer. In the Charvak view, there is no soul. Where does the talk of doer come? Sankhya and Nyaya Darshan also believe that the soul does nothing, believed to be Nirguni Tattva. The manifest karma is the work of nature, not of the soul. However, even in Jain Darshan, pure souls are akarta. But as long as karma is still attached, he is the doer. So it is understood by thinking that he is the doer and he is the non-doer. The fourth is Atman, is Bhokta. The Sankhya view says that a soul is non-consumer. It is only through imagination that it becomes consumer. Based on the fixed point of view of Jain Darshan, this is exactly the same when, if you let go of desire. The fifth pada is moksha. The Yagnik view and the ancient Purva Mimamsa also reject moksha. But if there is no moksha, then where is the need for the tools of moksha, that is scriptures, temple, virtue, policy, renunciation, dispassion, satsang, satpurush. Rejection of salvation is the rejection of the soul itself. then where is the place for discussion? So the basic thing is that if there is a world, then its counterpart, moksha, is also there. The sixth pada is the solution to salvation. Buddhist view, the eternity of soul is not accepted. That the soul is a doer and is not acceptable to Charvak, Sankhya and Nyaya. Charvak, Sankhya and Nyaya do not believe that the soul is a consumer. In Sankhya, the doer, consumer, is considered only by imagination. Even the ancient Eastern mystics and Yajnik did not believe in the moksha. These six truths provide the field for cultivation and stabilization of right faith in the reality. In Atma Siddhi, written by Srimad Rajchandra, Param Kripa Dev, on the other hand, the fundamental point of all the six systems, the nature of the self, is clearly discussed. It dispels the doubts of the Buddhist who either believe that there is no self at all, or that if it is there, then it is only a momentary self. Atma Siddhi successfully explained that there is not only a self, but that it is permanent self, and that there are infinite permanent selves. To the adherents of the Sankhya Darshan, which admits of a self which is totally inactive and yet the enjoyer of all the activities of Prakriti, Atma Siddhi explained that there cannot be enjoyment or suffering without activity. One who doesn't act at all has nothing to enjoy, nothing to suffer from. An inactive self cannot be held responsible for activities of Prakriti. Therefore, it is easily understood that the self does action and therefore it enjoys or suffers from the fruits thereof. To the Vedantis, who hold that the self neither does anything, nor it has to enjoy or suffer from actions, Param Kripadev in Atma Siddhi replies that the self does action and therefore it cannot escape the result of the action. To other Vedantis who say that the self was never bound and so no question of it achieving liberation, explanation is given very clearly that since the self is attached to actions from endless past births, non-attachment from them is a stage to be attained by conscious effort for liberation, which is significant. To the Charvaks who do not believe in a permanent self, nor into its actions and liberation from them, and hence not in the proper way to liberation, reply is clear that since the first five truths are established, the sixth one also follows them. If the self-liberation is meaningful, then the method for it or the way to it must be equally meaningful. Therefore, Jainism suggests the true, sure and pure path to soul's liberation or self-realization. Jainism, an ancient Indian spiritual tradition, has had many effects on the world, including social change and eating habits. Jain philosophy of non-violence and peace has contributed to the creation of a healthy, peaceful society. Live and let others to live. Jainism's teachings have also helped to promote and propagate vegetarianism world over. India is the world's largest population of vegetarians, and the concept of vegetarianism has vast ramifications world over. Jainism has led to the growth of language and literature. The ancient Jain works of great monks were written in Ardhamagdi and Prakrit, and Jainism has given the wealth of literature to the world. Lifestyle and the day-to-day practice, Jains emphasizes on education, hard work with discipline, and wise, mature steps in daily affairs. This has fostered mental prosperity and non-dependency with the self-esteem and dignity. Jainism focuses on helping ordinary people, underprivileged castes and creeds. Philosophically, Jain philosophy is of not to harm any living beings, brings the person very close to the nature and increasing their respect for it. Idea of God as the creator of this universe is clearly opposed in totality. The perfection of humanity lies in the strict ethical conduct is the basis of Jainism. Apart from the idea of peace and harmony, Jainism teaches philosophy with acts of righteous conduct. Because of Jainism, the rituals of sacrificing animals were reduced, if not totally abolished. The differences in the caste and creed system are also reduced. By advocating the philosophies of non-violence and peace, right faith, right knowledge and right conduct, Jainism is the very root of bliss for humanity and every living creature. Jain monks also influence the kings including Mughal emperor and their people in the long-lasting way to decrease violence and also reduce non-vegetarianism. What inspired me to dedicate my life to Jainism? I studied, I listened, I saw people and even scholars of various philosophy, but real peace of mind I obtained from Jainism, which appeals to any thoughtful mind. The main lesson and the message Jainism offers to the world is non-violence, peace, reduce greed, and live and let not only human but every creature live. Sahajatma Swarup Param Guru.